Alright, I'm back with another Destiny 2 video. Got a haircut, got a shave last time before the baby comes, because who knows when I'll have time to do that after. But the beard will be back, don't worry. Wanted to talk today in the post-raid era about kind of what I'm expecting for the rest of the season. And it does seem like kind of the bulk of things, the major parts of it are done now, which is fine. I think we have, still some more seasonal stuff to come. And obviously, I have been very happy with pretty much everything we've seen so far. But now the raid is here. We know some post-raid stuff that happened, like the new weekly mission of just clearing Scorn out of the pyramids. We do not know if that will change week to week at all, or if that is literally going to be that exact same mission week to week. I don't know. I think I'd be a little surprised if it was literally the exact same mission every week, because it's not exactly like a super in-depth mission like the Pinnacle one. And I don't really enjoy doing the whole, at least soloing it, getting the 3 pieces of knowledge 3 times in 5 different areas for the payload part. That part is a little draggy to me. So I'm kind of hoping that maybe future weeks could bring different parts of the pyramid that we explore. Like maybe you're still just killing things. There's not really any objectives, but I would appreciate kind of being maybe hop through the pyramid a little more, and maybe they teach you some kind of some of the other raid mechanics other than the ones they laid out there. In terms of actual kind of story stuff, I think most of the central Witch Queen stuff is done. I'm trying to think of any ongoing things that have that we definitely know kind of have yet to reveal themselves, but I think we have kind of most of that sorted. The moths are rotating. By now you probably have done the executioner quests and things like that. The just go track the trail and find the enemies thing. I know some people are still probably leveling Finch to 30, and that will get you some bonuses in the Throne World, but that's just kind of a longer term trek here. So we kind of switch over to Season of the Risen stuff, which is going to be the ongoing stuff going forward, except I think we only have maybe 2 more weeks of this story. So this coming reset tomorrow, and then the week after. Tomorrow is obviously going to bring a 3rd battleground. I don't know where it is, but so far these battlegrounds have been a little mechanically different from one another. The last one had a payload, and then obviously we're going to have an Ark, which is the final boss this time, considering we had the other 2 already. And then we will put them all in their little prison chambers in the helm, and a Scion will extract whatever they're doing. I assume week 4 will be kind of the culmination of whatever their plan is. We know that they are, quote, stockpiling light for some specific reason. Don't know what that means, if they're building a giant light bomb or something, but again, these are Savathun's brood that are no longer being led by Savathun, so who is leading them? What is this plan? Is this something she put in motion after her death? Not clear on that. And then, obviously, I am expecting Savathun to come back to life at some point, although I am probably not expecting that to happen this season. I think that is going to be something that we revisit in the future. I think we've seen kind of all of her altar of reflection things. I think you're able to access all of them by now. Maybe she will keep doing new 2 truths and 2 lies, considering we got 2 different versions of that week to week. So maybe there will kind of be ongoing story stuff in regard to that. But besides that, I think what's happening with Risen is that Risen is more substantial in terms of the actual kind of the meat of the content. We have these 3 new battlegrounds that are pretty involved mission. I mean, they're certainly, I think, as involved as the other battlegrounds we got in Season of the Chosen. And it's just that the kind of this doesn't seem like an 8-week story that's being told. This seems like it will mostly be done after 4 weeks here, and maybe we'll get some new voice memos and things week to week, but in terms of actually introducing new content, I don't think we're going to last longer than 4 weeks. That said, I think this is obviously more substantial than what we saw from Season of the Hunt and Undying. I think that is definitely more significant than that. We do have, the weekly run of the Cabal mission with whatever you did to get the grenade launcher. You're supposed to do that for Pinnacles and things. I wouldn't put that quite maybe on the tier of Harbinger, but it's somewhat similar, and that's technically a part of the season. I'm not sure if we have any more. I think they said there were 8 weapon exotics total, and I'm not sure how many we're up to now, but we know from the raid that you can get the raid exotic as a random drop, this pulse rifle that has all these void abilities. So like some people did get that already. That is not some sort of quest. We are in X Mythoclast territory where you're going to have to farm that week to week in order to get it. One big thing that I think we're meant to do kind of gameplay wise is like this is where weapon crafting really starts to come in. I have been grinding like crazy on the normal weapon crafting things, and I have all the frames for the Throne World weapons that you can get in the wild. I do not have all the frames for the Wellspring ones because those drop rates have been so low. Those are being buffed on Thursday, so I expect to get those hopefully pretty quickly after that. That leads you to the exotic glaives. What's really going to be kind of key is doing this with, well, first the Risen weapons. Eventually, I think maybe this week, I think you could unlock a perk that gives you, your first focus of the week will give you a deep sight weapon. So you can specifically be like, okay, like I have two of the bows. I want one more bow. So tomorrow, I think I can get the upgrade and then focus specifically for a bow, and then that will be my third bow, like guaranteed. So every week you're guaranteed to get at least one pattern that you're looking for. In terms of the raid, that's kind of an open question. As we've learned, the raid weapons are really good for the most part. The intrinsic raid perk, which gives you it gives you healing based on how many hits from your magazine you've landed, that's like almost an exotic perk. So that's kind of crazy. We know that all the raid weapons can be crafted. I think they all need 5 patterns, so that is kind of a very long-term project that will take a lot of people, most of the season, most of the year, even potentially, depending on how many times you can run it and what kind of rates those pattern drops have. I didn't see a whole lot of red bar pattern drops from the people I was watching the raid with, but I don't know how long that will take. We'll see if there's any complaints about it taking too long to get patterns for those. But those weapons with like a full suite of enhanced perks, like maxed all the way, those are going to be pretty nasty. Those are probably going to be some of the best non-funnel web legendary weapons in the game. So that seems to me like that will be a really long-term pursuit, is people doing the crafting path on the raid weapons. So that's interesting. And we will see if that is too long of a grind and people complain about it, or if that will be kind of the right sort of long-term thing. We still don't have a roadmap for this season. This is why I'm doing this, is because Bungie's not really given us any actual roadmap with dates of things of when things happen. So we don't really know exactly where we're going. We know for sure because of all the weird moving around of the schedule and the Witch Queen being delayed that Guardian Games is this season, which seems weird because this is the expansion season. But normally we don't have expansions now. We have. Those are usually in the fall, so that's why Guardian Games is now. I don't know what's going to happen with that. Guardian Games is not... I don't really like Guardian Games, to be honest. I don't like the aesthetic. I never really liked the armor sets. I think the competition aspect always has some sort of technical problem with it, where like hunters are weighted, and then they're not weighted, and then it's usually really lopsided. Warlocks are the only class that hasn't won yet, so I don't know if that will be rigged to change this year, or how that will work. I don't know. We'll see how this goes, but I have not really loved Guardian Games as an event in the past. The best thing about Guardian Games, I think, is when we just got Heir Apparent as a new exotic, but that has not happened since. I hope we get something kind of valuable with that, or at least a new legendary or something for Guardian Games, but we don't really have any information on it. I haven't seen any like leaked armor sets or anything, but I assume this will be kind of at the tail end of things. We don't know. There could be some sort of ongoing story leading into whatever happens next season going forward from here. We are obviously learning a lot more about the darkness and this the planet that Rolk destroyed his own people of Lubre. I think I got some of the lore wrong last time, where I was talking about the race of Lubre, but then Rolk kind of betrayed his own people at the behest of the darkness, and he's kind of the last of his species. But the door is open for kind of more disciples to come in the future. I maintain that I think we are going to get some sort of Rasputin or Anna Bray based storyline at some point for one of the seasons this year. Whether that is next season, I don't know. We're not really seeing anything, at least right now, that is leaning in that direction for next season. Next season does seem like they're going to be doing a lot of PvP stuff. I think that's when they're introducing the next new map. Is definitely when Iron Banner is getting its huge rework and things like that. So there are still things to come there. In terms of this season, we still have Trials to return, and the Trials is bringing back Summoner, and it's also bringing a new Trials weapon. I don't think we know what that is yet. I don't think it's in collections, so we have to kind of wait and see what that is. and then GM Nightfalls are coming up in April, I'm pretty sure. It's it's kind of far off for some reason. And then Hard Mode Raid will obviously be here later, and we will have, I don't think they're going to be called Time Lost weapons, but I'm wondering, so we have weapon patterns now for crafting, and then they're going to do a Hard Mode Raid with whatever, Adept raid weapons. Can you craft Adept versions of the raid weapons, or is that going to be like a separate thing? This is where kind of crafting gets into weird questions, and we haven't heard anything address that yet, so we don't know how that's going to work. Don't know when that is coming, but they have promised us a hard mode on, I think, all raid and dungeon content going forward, so that should be here at some point. Obviously, since the raid just debuted this weekend, that is probably still at least a month or so off, but we will deal with that when it comes. So I think there is, some amount of stuff still to come, but we are going to kind of get into grind mode, especially in regard to crafting things. And I think a lot of, most of the major story stuff is over, which is not wholly unexpected. And then I think most of the Risen story stuff is only going to go for the next 2 weeks. Maybe something will happen at the end of the season, as tends to, we take these long breaks, but this is supposed to be a 3-month season. We are not supposed to be stretching that again. As far as we know, this is supposed to have a 3-month end date, and we're going back to that, and we're not doing another 6-month season or something crazy like that, which I think no one really loved. It was kind of a matter of necessity rather than something that we really wanted. But that is kind of where I'm viewing the rest of the season going and leading into future seasons. I think we're going to get this whole season, if last year was about focusing up to the lead up to Savathun, I think this year is going to be about the lead up. Obviously, it's the lead up to Lightfall, but a deeper exploration of the darkness, more information about them than we've ever gotten, more exploration of the Witness. The Witness might be this year's Savathun. We still don't really know if the Witness is the ultimate final boss of the darkness. Maybe, but that still remains kind of unclear unless I'm missing something. But I would be curious to know if we're seeing any more disciples or things like that. I do think I'm not going to rule out the possibility of another race hitting the game at some point. This does seem like it potentially opened the door for that in some ways. Maybe not the race of the Rolk people, but something. I don't know. I think there's potential, and that's not totally ruled out yet. And then I do think we are also leading ourselves to a new subclass for Lightfall, because we didn't have one for Witch Queen. And then obviously we have the Solar and Arc 3.0 updates coming, which we don't know for sure if one is going to be next season. I would guess maybe not, just because they just finished all this Witch Queen work. So then maybe it could be the 2 following seasons. But we are supposed to get all those before the end of the year. And considering how crazy Void has been, I can't even imagine. This is a conversation for another day, but we might almost be getting to power creepy, we got to nerf a bunch of things territory again, back in the Reckoning days, with auto refilling supers and things, where we just became too strong with all these damage stacking things. We'll see if we get to that point, but I feel outside of contest modes, we might be approaching that to some extent, but we'll save that for a different time. But anyway, that's where I see things going. And yeah, let me know if you think I'm missing anything. Off the top of my head, I'm trying to just sort of create my own roadmap here, considering we haven't gotten an actual one, which is a little unusual. I don't know if dates are flexible or they just want to keep things a secret, but who knows. But anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care.